Hold on a second. We are live. That's pretty interesting. It's always interesting to be alive. All right. All right. Let's get started. Get the guitar. Guitar. Here we go. Okay, we've been having some trouble with the internet today, so if we go off and then I go on again, you know why that is. Okay. Okay. Pick a song. How about Jaiva Dharma? For a change. That'll be interesting. Jaiva Dharma. Jaya Kunja Vihare, Randamadova, Kunja Vihare, Pichanapala, Ma, Jaya Girimadare, Jaya Girimadare, Pichanapalapa. Panachare Naya Kunjaviyate Kunjaviyate Punachira Panachare Naya Kunjaviyate Jaya Kunjaviyate Radhamadova Jaya Jai Om Vishnupad Paramahamsa Paramacharya also Tata Satashi Shimad His Divine Grace Savaya Chalananda Bhaktivedanta Goswami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai ISKCON Founder Acharya Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai Anantakoti Vaishnav Vrinda Ki Jai Namacharya Shidhilas Thakur Ki Jai Rem Se Kaho Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shidwaita Gadadha Shri Vasati Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai Shri Shri Radhakrishna Gopi Gopinath Saya Mukunda Radhakunda Giri Govardhan Ki Jai Vrindavanam Ki Jai Maturnam Ki Jai Jagannath Swami Ki Jai Yamunamai Ki Jai Srimati Tulasi Devi Ki Jai Samveda Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai Gaur Premananda Hari Hari Bol. All glories the assembled devotees, all glories the assembled devotees, all glories the assembled devotees. All glories to Shri Guru and Gauranga Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Vistaya Bhutale Srimati Bhaktivedanta Swami Namani Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pacharni Nivashesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarni. And now let me read the translation. Lord Madhava Krishna is the lover of Srimati Radha, and he displays many amorous pastimes in the groves of Vrindavan. He is the darling of the gopis and the lifter of Govardhan Hill, beloved son of Yashoda. He is the delight of the inhabitants of Braj, and he wanders the Yamuna riverbank forests. And Prabhupada would always sing this song before he gave a lecture. Very nice. So we're going to go to the Jaiva Dharma. There's one note is the internet's been real funky here, so if it goes off, just wait. I'll try to get back on it. It's been off and on all afternoon. So actually before, I just want to show you all something that inspires me. That is a copy of a letter. You can see it. That Srila Prabhupada, a notice that Srila Prabhupada posted in his first temple in 26 Second Avenue. And he wanted this posted everywhere. So, all initiated devotees must attend morning and evening classes, must not be addicted to any kind of intoxicants, including coffee, tea, and cigarettes. They are forbidden to have illicit sex connections, must be strictly vegetarian, should not extensively mix with non-devotees, should not eat foodstuff cooked by non-devotees, should not waste time in idle talks, nor engage himself in frivolous sports, should always chant and sing the Lord's holy name. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Thank you. Signed, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Acharya. As before, Prabhupada had the name Prabhupada, and Prabhupada would sign the name Prabhupada anyway. International Society for Krishna Consciousness, 26 2nd Avenue, New York, New York, dated November 25th, 1966. So we're going to try to get this posted in our temple room here. This is a direct copy of Prabhupada's letter. See? See? For those of you who have some doubts about the morning program. Okay, so on that happy note, anyway, that's why I'm not the most popular person around, because I do say some heavy things once in a while. So, on that happy note, let's go to the Jaiva Dharma. So, Maganatamidananda Shah Gananjana Shlakya Chakshur Unmeditam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. So, we offer our respectful obeisances unto the lotus feet of my spiritual master's divine grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami, Srila Prabhupada, who so kindly opened my eyes with the torchlight of knowledge while I was blinded in the darkness of ignorancia. Okay, so we're going to share the screen. Let's move a few little things around. Okay. For me to hear Prabhupada's instructions. Actually, let me put that on the screen so you can all see it. That's it. So you can see it in Prabhupada's handwriting down there, of course. As everyone sees that. There were always other pictures at the bottom for. Anyway, whatever. Oh, there we go. Okay, and then we're going to share the screen to. All right, to go on with the Jaiva Dharma. Jaiva Dharma, where are you? Where is this screen for the Jaiva Dharma? I will find it in a second. I got so many screens open. It's just like, oh my God. Let me just. All right. I know I have the Jaiva Dharma. Wait a second. Find that. Alright, Jaiva Dharma. Okay. There we go. I have so much open on the computer, it's just like, okay. Jaiva Dharma, there we go. And let me get this properly situated. Okay, so what we're going to touch upon today, beginning with this discussion about, Prajnath asks, what is the method of worshiping Lord Gauranga as a couple? Because we worship, okay, just to explain, we worship Krishna with Radha. We don't worship Krishna alone. It's not appropriate to worship Krishna alone. So we worship Lord Chaitanya with his associates. Of course, sometimes, usually in the temple, we worship Panchatattva. Panchatattva means the Lord Chaitanya and his four associates. Two of the associates are Vishnu Tattva. One is Shakti Tattva, Gadadhar, and one is Jiva Tattva, Srivas Thakur. Okay. So Rajanath asks, what is the method of worshiping Gauranga as a couple? There are two types of Gauranga as a couple. One is according to Archana Marg, and the other is according to Bhajana Marg. Very interesting. In Archana Marg, Gaura and Vishnu Priya are worshipped. In Bhajana Marg, Gaura and Gadadhar are worshipped. So Archana refers to Vaidhi Bhakti. Okay? Vaidhi Bhakti. Gaura and Vishnu Priya are worshipped. Vishnu Priya, of course, is Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's wife. Because when we worship Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu on the altar, there are these cases, or in the case of Gaura Nitai, we worship Chaitanya in Mayapur, not as a sannyasi, on the altar. Prabhupada explained this very, very clearly. And so we talk about as an Archana, of course, means Vaidhi Marg, rules and regulations. then Gora is married to Vishnu Priya. So this is external. But in the Bhajan Marg, which is Raganuga, Gora is Krishna and Gadadhar is Radharani. And of course, Gora is in the mood of Radharani, and he's with Radharani, who is Gadadhar. Gadadhar is actually an expansion or avatar of Radharani. Okay. Now, you may ask, why do we worship Gaura on the altar instead of Gaura Gadadhar or Gaura Vishnu Priya? The reason is that Prabhupada emphasized the preaching of Krishna consciousness, first of all, which is done by Gaura, because by preaching Krishna Nam Sankirtan, Krishna Nama Sankirtan, then one can achieve the perfection of Krishna consciousness very, very quickly. So I'm get unstable here. So forgive me if there's a little, problems in the internet with my broadcast here. So with worship of Gaura, then we can quickly make progress because Krishna says in the Gita, for one who teaches this Krishna consciousness to others, that person is most dear to me, and there will never be one more dear to me than he or she, or who explains the Bhagavad Gita to others, preaches, communicates. That's the quick process. And Prabhupada was dealing with people who needed a quick process because they were on a lower stage. So Gaura was how Prabhupada presented Krishna consciousness to us. And also, Nityananda is merciful. He's the most merciful. Lord Chaitanya is the most merciful. And Lord Nityananda is more merciful than Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. How about that? So we need that special mercy. And Prabhupada was absorbed in the mercy of Lord Nityananda. That's not to indicate what his eternal relationship with Krishna is in the spiritual world. It's just that Prabhupada understood that our type of worship should be Gaura rather than Gaura Vishnu Priya or Gaura Gadadhar. And it's interesting, in this way, he actually changed from the standard of which the Gaudiya Math was following, because the Gaudiya Math is generally Gaura Gadadhar. Bhaktivinoda Thakur is Gaura Gadadhar. And of course, there are deities of Gaura all over. It's not that Prabhupada invented the worship of Gaura all over the place, but all over Mayapura temples, there are deities of Gaura. And like Gauridas Pandit, who is the disciple of the guru, Hridaya Chaitanya, worshipped Gaura, and Hridaya Chaitanya's disciple was Shaimananda, and he worshipped Gaura. So anyway, so it's not, and Shaimananda was in the highest platform of devotional service. I mean, he was serving Radha and Krishna directly. So don't think it's more merciful. How about that? So Brajananda asks, which Shakti, which energy of Lord Chaitanya is Vishnu Priya? The Babaji replied, devotees generally call her Bhu Shakti. Now, Bhu is short for Bhumi, like the earth planet, or the eternal associate, along with Lakshmi, of Narayan. Doesn't have Venkateshwara in Tirumala, and he's worshipped along with Bhu and Shri. Shri, of course, is Lakshmi, Bhu is Bhumi. Got it? According to Tattva means what is her nature. She is the Samvit Shakti, endowed with the essence of Hladini Shakti. Wow. Samvit means the cognitive or knowledge potency, Shakti, that is imbued or endowed with the pleasure potency of the Lord. Wow, 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 wow. Wow. Let's see, what is that? It said Hladini and Samvit combination is manifest in the Jiva Bhava stage of Bhakti. Wow. So the Bhava stage of Bhakti, listen to this, according to this, the footnote here, the pleasure potency and the cognitive potency, or the knowledge, spiritual knowledge combination, is manifested in Jiva at the Bhava stage of Bhakti. So manifest in the Jiva, not that the Jiva is the Hladini and Samvit Shakti. But here it's mentioned that Vishnu Priya is the combination, basically, of the Samvit and the Hladini Shakti. And she is Bhakti. This is such interesting information. She is Bhakti. Bhakti is devotion, pure devotion. Swarupini. That means the female form of Bhakti. So we worship Vishnu Priya. Wow. In Gauranga's avatar, she appeared to assist in spreading the holy name. Just as Navadvip Dham has 9 islands representing the 9 types of Bhakti, Vishnu Priya is the Swarupa of the 9. She's the very form of the 9 types of Bhakti. Wow. Vishnu Priya, I'm just trying to digest that. The form, the very form of the 9 types of Bhakti. Vishnu Priya. And we see that when Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu took sannyas, Vishnu Priya would worship of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and she underwent such severe austerity, she would just take 1 grain of rice for each mantra she chanted. Some people say each round, but I sort of doubt that. I think it was each mantra that she chanted, she would take 1 grain of rice. That's not a lot of rice. And that was her prasadam. And she gave mercy to so many devotees. There's a story of Srinivasacharya, how she actually put her feet on Srinivasacharya's head before Srinivasacharya started preaching Krishna consciousness. So Vishnu Priya is a Swarupa. Let me just repeat it because I'm digesting it too. The Swarupa, the very form of the Navabhakti, the 9 processes of Bhakti, which is also known as Bhakti Sarupini, the very Swarupa of Bhakti, the form of Bhakti. Wow. Okay, it's going to take me a while. I think it's all a while to digest that and practically, understand it or at least accept it. Vrajanath said, can it be said that Vishnu Priya is the Swarupa Shakti? That means the potency of Krishna directly. What is the doubt? It is not the Samvit Shakti endowed with the essence of is not. The Samvit Shakti, that means the knowledge potency, endowed with the essence of Hladini Shakti, the same as the Swarup Shakti. That means the knowledge potency of the Lord, endowed with the pleasure potency of the Lord, the combination, the same as the Swarup Shakti. Yes. Wow, 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 wow. Rajanath said, Prabhu, I will quickly learn the method of deity worship for Gauranga. I would like to ask about one more tattva that has come to my mind. The Chit Shakti, Jiva Shakti, and Maya Shakti are the manifestations of the Swarup Shakti. Again, Chit Shakti is the internal energy, Jiva Shakti is the Jiva souls, us, and Maya Shakti that we love so much. They're manifestations of Krishna's personal Shakti. The Hladini, Sandini, and Samvit Shaktis function with these three manifestations. All the energies are known through their effects. The spiritual world, the spiritual body, spiritual relationships, and spiritual pastimes. So the Shaktis, the spiritual world, the spiritual body, spiritual relations, spiritual pastimes. Actually, sometimes it's mentioned that Balaram, who is not Shakti, Balaram is directly, first expansion of Krishna. He manifests Sandhini. Sometimes that's mentioned too. He's in charge of the sun. He's Shakti. Anyway, somehow or other, both things are true. So the question is, how was Krishna the Shaktiman known? Again, Shaktiman means the possessor of the energies. Shakti means energy. I'm just repeating because you all may not be familiar with the terminologies. That's why it's important for me to repeat. How is Krishna, who is the possessor of all of the energies, known? Babaji said, this is a big problem. Would you kill this old man by piercing him with the arrows of sophistry? Sophistry means word jugglery, basically. If the question is straightforward, the answer also is. But it is difficult to find a person qualified to answer this question. I will speak and you can try to understand. Krishna's name, form, qualities, and pastimes are all indications of his Shakti. So Krishna's name, form, qualities, and pastimes are indications of his Shakti. In other words, his Shakti is manifest from his name, form, qualities, and pastimes. But it's not that Krishna's name, form, qualities, and pastimes are his Shakti. They're him. There's no duality between Krishna's name, form, qualities, and pastimes. But they manifest his Shakti. They're indications of his Shakti. But his independent will is not the effect of Shakti. So Krishna's will is not the effect of Shakti. In other words, Krishna is independent, and his will is completely independent of his Shaktis, who actually have to follow him. His independent will is not the effect of Shakti. That is an action fixed only in the Swarup of the Supreme Lord. In other words, that is just the very Swarup of the Lord. The Icha. Sometimes it's interesting, it's called Shakti. But even though it's called Shakti, it's not independent in existence. Krishna has his own desires. He's a particular person who gives shelter to Shakti. Shakti is enjoyed by him. Krishna is the enjoyer. Shakti is dependent on Krishna. Got it? Shakti is dependent on Krishna. Krishna is not dependent on Shakti. Krishna is independent. His Shakti surrounds him, the independent person, but the independent Lord is realized at all times as the complete form. So in other words, Krishna is never controlled by his Shakti. He's always completely independent, and his Shaktis are first-class servants of his, which means they do whatever he wants, whenever he wants it. It's like the genie in Aladdin's lamp. The independent Lord, even if covered by his Shakti, is the control of the Shakti. What does it mean, covered? That means the Shakti is not allowing us to see the Lord. That's a covering. It's not that, in essence, he is covered, but it appears that he's covered because we are not able to perceive his existence because of his Shakti. Got it? The example given is like the sun is made in what the sun clouds. When a person realizes the Lord, he realizes him. Is the internet connection unstable again? When a person realizes the Lord, he realizes him under the shelter of the Shakti. In other words, the Shakti facilitates our realization of the Lord. One cannot realize the Shaktiman except through his Shakti. Let's check this. Okay. One cannot realize Krishna except through his energy. In other words, Krishna says if one says he's a devotee of me, he's not my devotee. One says a devotee of my devotee is my devotee. So that's the point. You have to realize Krishna through his Shakti. That means the internal potency, the devotees, the Jiva souls who are pure devotees of the Lord, they're also Shakti, they're Jiva Shakti. And, Bhakti personified was Vishnu Priya. Oh my God. But when the devotee develops prema, love for the Lord, he directly meets the Shaktiman beyond the Shakti. In other words, when you love Krishna, you can directly come in contact with Krishna, not through the Shakti anymore. It's a direct experience. Also experiencing through Prabhupada's mercy, but also it's direct simultaneously. Thus, it is female in nature. Bhakti is made of Shakti. Thus, it is female in nature. So, in other words, Bhakti is female, not male. Oh, that's obvious. That should be obvious. I mean, obviously, Vishnu Priya is female. Radharani is female. The Ladini and some bhaktis, that bhakti in the devotee experiences the pastimes of the male, which allow one to know Krishna filled with his will. That if we... Okay, Krishna is the supreme male, so if we worship Krishna through the agency of his Shaktis, allow us to experience Krishna's pastimes as a male and understand him from the male perspective, which allow one to know Krishna filled with his will. So in other words, to know Krishna filled with his will, and this is so esoteric, to know Krishna and his will and how he's independent, one has to have some inclination of what the male nature is. That does not come because you have a male body. And it's not that you're you can't understand it because you have a female body. It has nothing to do with the gross body. But if you worship Krishna, his Swarup Shakti, which are Swarup Shakti, or that means Vishnu Priya, Bhakti Shakti, whatever. Then you can actually understand Krishna from the male perspective. Brajanath said, if there is a tattva, it's category that cannot be known beyond Shakti, it must be the Brahman mentioned in the Upanishads. So here's a little misunderstanding. There's not a tattva beyond Shakti. Basically, the topmost tattva is Vishnu tattva. The Brahman is not beyond Vishnu tattva. So, Babaji answers, the Brahman mentioned in the Upanishads, that means the impersonal Brahman, is devoid of desire or will. The Purusha of the Upanishads is Krishna, full of desire. The person, Purusha, means person. They are different. Brahman is without qualities. Remember that Krishna, though he's different from his Shakti, has qualities, is endowed with qualities. He is the male, the enjoyer, the authority, and independent. Actually, Krishna and his Shakti are non-different. Different. and non-different simultaneously. There's that Achincha Beta Beta Tattva philosophy again. The Shakti by which Krishna is known is directly Krishna. So, let's refer to let's refer to the second verse of the Shikshashika. Nam Nam Kari Bodha Nija Sarva Shaktish Tatrapita Nimata Smarane Nakala Etadrushi Tava Kripa Bhagavan Namapi Daivan Idusami Hani Nanaraga. So let's go. The Shakti by which Krishna is known is directly Krishna. The holy name is Krishna. The Shakti which desires Krishna in the form of Radha has a female form. The holy name, or the potency of the holy name by which Krishna is known, is directly Krishna. Nija Shakti. Yeah, so Nam Namakari Bodhan Nija Shakti. So that's directly Krishna. But the Shakti which desires Krishna is Radha. It's a female form. Radha, the highest Shakti, is his servant. Their respective identities cause them to be different and the same simultaneously. This is so elevated. Self later digested. Rajanath said, if Krishna's internet connection's unstable again. We get all these messages. Okay. Rajanath said, if Krishna's desire or his nature is the enjoyer makes Krishna known in his male form, what is Radha's desire? Okay. Babaji said Radha's desires are subordinate to Krishna's. In other words, Krishna's is the desire and Radha's desires are in tune with Krishna's desires. She has no action or desire or action independent of Krishna. So Krishna's desire shapes her consciousness. Wow! The desire belongs to Krishna. Her desire to serve him is dependent on him. Although she's a separate entity, but she's perfectly absorbed in pleasing Krishna and knowing what Krishna wants. Just like if someone is serving someone else and they know them 100%, then their actions or desire is dependent on the person being served desires. Is the Purusha, the supreme male, the controller and the inspiration of the Shakti. So Krishna's desire controls and inspires the Shakti, because the Shakti is a first-class servant. Again, we get to that point. First-class servant, knowing the mood of the person one is serving and acting accordingly in every circumstance. So the desire shapes the actions and mentality. The desire of the Purusha shapes the actions and mentality of the Prakriti, person who's serving the Purusha. And you're welcome to watch this later on, this class later on. So after this discussion, taking the permission of Babaji and offering him respects, Brajanath returned to his home in Bilva Pushkarini in great bliss. Day by day his mood changed. Noticing this, his grandmother began preparations for his marriage. Because she was worried he's going to want to take sannyas. He's becoming a little too advanced for me. We got to get him married. Brajanath did not listen to this talk. I just want to find out about Krishna. Because later on you'll find out he does get married. But That's a different thing. That's an also important lesson. He began thinking of the Tat was taught by Babaji day and night. He went to Srivas Angam, which is where Lord Chaitanya had his kirtans all the time in bliss, thinking of receiving new and sweet instructions since all the topics touched his heart. Wow, 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 wow. What a chapter. Okay, let's go to the next chapter. Chapter 15. Prameya. The title of this is Prameya, deliberating on the jiva. Okay. Prameya means what is to be done. It's a category of Dachamula that has to be done. But what is to be understood? There's pramana, which is basically what do you accept as evidence, as incontrovertible evidence. I mean, you can accept a lot of things as evidence, but to accept something as evidence that's unquestionable, that's what the pramana deals with. Pramana, where do you get your knowledge from? Okay, so prameya means that which you want to know. So now we want to find out more things about the good old jiva. And who is the good old jiva? Us. It's a category. It's us. Got it? Okay. This time, Brajanath came on a little early. That day, the devotees of Godrama had arrived before evening in order to see the evening arti, or pronounced artrik, or Prabhupada sometimes wrote arti. Premadas, Paramahansa Babaji, Vaishnavadas, and Advaita Das, and others sat in the Aratrika hall, seeing their bhava or emotions. Brajanath thought he would be successful if he obtained their association quickly. Seeing the soft beauty of Brajanath's face and his devotional form, they all blessed him. Soon after that, they departed for Godrama. Imagine he's getting the association of all these great devotees. Now, Advaita Das and Vaishnava Das are new devotees, not Advaita Charya or anything like that. Vaishnava Das was the one who used to be a sannyasi. Mayavad sannyasi, gave it all up to worship. It's interesting, none of these Babajis have the name Maharaj. This name Maharaj was traditionally a name for kings. Because Maharaj, Raj means king, but also means, hey, passion one, great passionate one. So traditionally sannyasis were Baba or Babaji. And so the Maharaj became adopted for preaching purposes. They were Maharaj, great kings, great passionate ones. The old Babaji saw that Brajanath was weeping. He felt affection for Brajanath and asked, "Why are you crying?" So Brajanath said in a humble mood, "Prabhu, my heart." See, notice he's called Prabhu, means master. So even though Babaji is a Babaji, highest order of renounced life, much higher than ordinary sannyasi like us. My heart has been blossomed by the strength of your instructions and association. I understand the world is useless. I'm eager to take shelter of Gauranga's feet. Today this question has arisen in my mind. Who am I in truth? Why did I come to this material universe? Wow. Kayami. That means who am I? Babaji said, I am fortunate that you've asked this question. When the jiva attains auspiciousness, he asked this question first. If one hears this fifth verse of Dashamula and its meaning, there will be no more doubt. 4th verse is about. Purlinguradatneriva ched anava jiva nichaya harer suryasyeva pritagyapi tutad veda vishaya fashe maya yasya prakati patireve shvarahiha sajiva muktopi prakati vashay yogya swa gunata. Just as sparks emanate from a blazing fire, the unlimited jivas, small sparks of consciousness, that's us, emanate from the Lord who is like the sun. In other words, we were not created at any time, but we're emanations from the Lord, but not at any time. We're eternal. Though non-different from the Lord, the jivas are also eternally different. The Lord is the master. So there's that Shincha Beta Beta Tattva philosophy again. Non-different from the Lord, but the jivas are eternally different. So we're non-different and different simultaneously. So non-different in quantity. We're like chips of the old block, or like sparks of the old, not old, but the sparks of the fire. The Lord is the master of Prakriti. Krishna is the master of that energy, the material energy specifically here. He is Ishvara. The jiva is capable of being controlled. Tell me all about it. Controlled by Maya, the illusion. Here's one more paragraph. Vajana said, this conclusion is amazing. I desire to know the Vedic pramana. That means what is stated. Right? So pramana means evidence, the Vedic evidence. Evidence, what we accept as evidence. So what evidence does the Vedic literature present to establish the understanding of the nature of the jiva? The words of the Lord are the Veda. But if people see it stated in the Upanishads, they must accept it as the Lord's words. So he's asking again for corroboration, validation from the Shruti mantras, which we talked about before, from the Vedas, the Upanishads, and the Rig Veda, Samaveda, Ayurveda, and Atharva Veda. So these are considered as authority by everyone, even ritualistic brahmanas. So with this in mind, we learned a lot today. Let us stop sharing. And we will allow you to unmute yourselves. Give me a second. Like I said, the internet. All right, you can type in the chat window, or you can raise your hand, or you can unmute yourself. Okay, Lord Brahma, you have a question. You can
Hare
unmute
Krishna
yourself.
Maharaj, Danvat Pranam, all glories to Srila Prabhupada.
All glories Prabhupada.
Just at the very ending, you said Jiva is capable of being controlled by Maya, even in the
Yeah.
liberated state, because of its, I don't know, because of something. So how can it be even in the liberated state? I'm confused about even in the liberated state.
No, in the liberated stage, the jiva is not controlled by Maya. In the liberated stage, the jiva is controlled by bhakti, love, but it's independent manifestation. But no, the jiva is not controlled by Maya in the liberated state, only in the conditioned state.
Okay. Thank you, Maharaj.
All right?
Because I thought that's the last sentence we read today. That's not something you made up. That was written
Well,
in
then
the.
let me just read that. Hold on a second. I'll just read that as we're talking last sentences. Uh, oh, well, here it's yeah. I see what you're saying here. Yes, capable, the jiva, all right, the jiva is controlled. So here Maya, yeah, that's a good question. Here Maya can be understood to mean the energy of the Lord. Because there's Yoga Maya and Mahamaya. So in different, I was originally answering your question in terms of uh, Mahamaya, the material energy. But the jiva is controlled either by Yoga Maya or Mahamaya. So in both cases, the jiva is controlled by Maya. Does that make sense?
Yeah, yeah. So actually, you also mentioned this yesterday. You said when you spoke about Yogamaya and Krishna going under the influence of Yogamaya to forget some of his, potencies, right? So, is it reasonable or is it offensive? I'm asking this innocently. If we say if we call ourselves the Yoga Mayavadis, like not the real Mayavadis, but the Yoga Mayavadis.
I never heard that terminology, and it can be misunderstood. Because Mayavadi means one who sees everything as Maya. But
Mhm.
Yoga Maya, everything is Yoga Maya. But Krishna is not under Yoga Maya. So even Maya, no, it wouldn't be appropriate to say Yoga Mayavadis, because then we'd be saying the same thing as the true Mayavadis say, that even Krishna is under the control of Maya. But Krishna is not under the control of Yoga Maya, but he utilizes Yoga Maya to forget that he's God, so he can enact his intimate pastimes with his devotees. So yes, so this Maya in this sentence I read refers to energy. You know, there's Yoga Maya, Mahamaya. Okay,
Thank you, Maharaj.
okay, that's good. Good question. All right. So here's a question being asked on the chat window. Hare Krishna to the discussion looking at Krishna's creation and enjoying it for our gratification is Maya. Yeah, Maharaj Ji. How do we leverage the same concept for family members? Krishna gave us these souls, and we have key responsibilities towards them to bring them to Krishna consciousness. Plus, we are attached to them. So, what, what that attachment will be called? Well, it depends our motivation for the attachment. If our attachment is motivated by really wanting the best thing for them, rather than using them for our own sense gratification, then it's of a different quality. Rather than thinking they are meant to please me, but you're thinking I am meant to serve them in their capacity as parts and parcels of Krishna. And that also involves serving them materially, to supply some of their material needs, so that not everything they want, there's a difference between desire and need, but their necessities, let's see, using the word necessity rather than needs, so that they can progress nicely in Krishna consciousness, so supplying them their material necessities as well as spiritual necessities. So that attachment, that's love. That attachment is love. But if we're attached to them because basically of how cute they are or something, you know, then that's not love, because that pleases us. So it's a fine line. But we should certainly love our family members. We should love our children. If someone's married, they should love their wife, love the husband, and just really want to do the best thing. If you really love someone and it's not exploitation, you want the best thing for the person. Not necessarily the best thing for you or gives you the most pleasure, but what gives them the most pleasure ultimately, Krishna consciousness, and also taking care of them. Okay, here's another question. Hari Krishna Guru Maharaj, Vrajabasis, although we should not talk about their bhakti, but them worshipping Radharani on Guru, what does that mean? On through Guru, does that mean it's okay for them as they straighten Bhakti Bhakti? Yeah, I mean, they're on a different platform. Brajavasis are on a different platform. They can have Krishna directly as their guru or Radharani directly as their guru. That's something that we don't imitate. They're an exception to the rule. Yeah, they're straight on the Prema Bhakti platform. I mean, they're great devotees of the Lord. And, it's the Yoga Maya. There's a thin layer of Yoga Maya, which is called a veneer, that keeps us from actually seeing that. And if we go to Vrindavan, we'll just see them as just regular people trying to take our money. Like when you go to Braj, then you're accosted by all the beggars there. I guess accosted is the right word. And who are just like pulling on your dhoti and sari to try to get you the donation. And if you get aggravated at them, you're getting aggravated at a pure devotee of the Lord. Ooh. But it's not that you have to give them the money. It's a fine line. You just run away like I do. Well, they don't ask me for money anymore. But when I take people, there's one particular place, which is the place of Chakaleshwara Mahadev, where Lord Shiva is worshipped at the center of the Manasi Ganga area. And this is also where the Sudarshan Chakra hovered overhead, keeping Govardhan dry when Indra was trying to kill all the residents of Vrindavan. So that particular place, the sadhus, they wait for people to come, the pilgrims, so to speak, and they just squeeze whatever donation they can out of them. So what I advise the devotees when we're going through that particular area is you go really quickly. Why should you go really quickly? Because otherwise they will grab onto your dhotis and saris and really give you a hard time. So we usually do it. I tell the story about the place before we enter the place. And then I say, just follow me, Prabhuji's. And we go very quickly. Okay, here's a question by Gopal Das. Did I understand correctly? The Prabhupada chose to worship Gordon ties and we need more mercy to be more fallen? That's one reason, yes. And also, there's two reasons. Because we need more mercy because we're more fallen. Number two is because Prabhupada wanted to emphasize the preaching of Krishna consciousness. So Lord Chaitanya and Lord Nityananda, they would go out and preach, especially Lord Nityananda and Haridas Thakur. They were first preaching party. So we need Lord Nityananda's mercy. Another question is, sometimes the aggravation of Braj becomes like a fun competition relationship. Is that still offensive? No. No, that's what I do when I'm in Braj. I sort of have a fun competition with them. What happens is they ask me for a donation, and then I pull out the sannyasi cape, which is actually meant for collecting donations, and I say, donation, donation, and they laugh at me, and then they go away. Okay, on that happy note, thank you very much. We will see everybody tomorrow, same time, same station. All glories to His Divine Grace, Srila